What's up guys, that got the pencil here, and we have a battle of two leaders, two lords, two beings of high standing with one more higher above them. Gloxinia, the first fairy king from Seven Deadly Sins, versus Nagato, the puppet leader of the Akatsuki from Naruto. Honestly, this battle is way more wild than even Zelda's versus Nagato, mainly because of how these two fighters operate in comparison to one another. Let's run over Gloxinia real fast. The first Fairy King is beastly, scaling to and if not above lesser archangels who are capable of creating alternate dimensions that have been calculated to be country level and higher. Gloxinia scales directly to this by being superior to beings like Post-Training King, who fights directly alongside Astral Body Archangels, tagging Ludishell and scaling well to or above his fellow commandments like Derriere and Galen. Now, I'm not going to be using a lore-based Gloxinia because then he becomes way too strong for Nagato to handle, scaling to portions of the Supreme Deity and actually having a 20th of the Demon King's power, them being bare minimum door star level, but this isn't the video for that. To get the Gloxinia's speed, it varies drastically. If you want to stay safe, he's fast and light. Even archangels as weak as Astral Body Tarmiel use light beams, and Commandment Gloxinia scales above Galen, who can fight with Prime Tarmiel, who also uses light-based attacks. Using a respected Gloxinia, he actually does get up pretty darn fast, like massively fast and light fast, by upscaling from Guild Thunder's Lightning, but once again, not the video for that, and I'll explain how it actually doesn't really matter that much once we get into it. Then, for his abilities, Gloxinia has a lot. For just his own native biology, he can read the heart and mind of his opponent by looking at them. He can fly, which one could see from his wings, but he doesn't even need to use them. He can also use telekinesis strong enough to lift beings way larger than him, and on top of that, he now has demonic biology with his new commandment, so he has access to the ability to steal souls with the touch, along with minor dark matter manipulation. For Gloxinia's specific abilities, his main magical ability is Disaster, which gives him complete control of nature and the power to manipulate life and death. He can raise plants into whatever he wants, from scythe plants, and he can even create plant golems, one that is easily strong enough to handle large mountain level threats like beginning of series Diane with Gideon, and another that should be comparable but got destroyed before it could show off. Disaster also gives him the ability to amplify or dampen any damage or poisons taken by somebody. Since they have the same ability, and Gloxinia would know it better since he's older and more experienced, Gloxinia could access status promotion to worsen a slight cut into a gaping wound and make a weak poison into a violent toxin, or disadvance any negative side effects a person has like King did to Kane. Then, his ability is just a skill that Gloxinia has, where he can manipulate people to induce a state of euphoria, which dampens their attention, sensory skills, and reactions. Able to invade the Fairy King's forest when multiple powerful beings who can sense commandments from miles away couldn't even detect him when he was 2 feet away. On top of this, he has access to his spear Basquias, which has a couple known forms. There is the spear itself, that can be launched as just a spear that he can fire a massive beam of pure energy at an opponent from. Then Form 2 is Guardian, which is a wasp-like creature that can paralyze his opponents with its stings. Form 5 is the Angel Armor, where Gloxinia bolsters his defense and physical offense all at once, pushing it from 0 to beyond island level, considering he slap-based post-treat units away with ease. Form 7 is Moon Rose, which gives him access to some of the best healing in the verse, allowing him to completely heal all his wounds. Form 9 is Death Thorn, which kills anyone it slices. This is most likely due to poison, which Gloxinia then amplifies. Then, Form 10, Emerald Octo, is a massive wall of tentacles that Gloxinia has total control over. So, Gloxinia in the end is pretty well set up. Nagato is extremely strong. Physically, he's able to contend with the full-on version 2 cloak lariat from B, and is even able to drain the chakra cloaking B's body to restore his own vitality. This easily puts him beyond mountain level even while weakened, most likely even approaching the island tiers depending on where you want to put version 2 cloak B. For his peak, he has the Shibaku Tensei, and he's easily reaching those country levels of power with it, requiring the teamwork of Itachi, Killer B, and KCM Naruto to destroy it. However, where Nagato really shines when respected is his speed. The light meta, as I've come to learn, is much different than I thought it was. I thought it started here with KCM Naruto and the Raikage. Incorrect, it starts back here with that Lightspeed Haku moving around in mirrors and beginning of series Sasuke being able to track him. Now, I don't think I need to tell you that Nagato, a part 2 character that he is, scales way beyond that Sasuke, which got blitzed by Wade Lee. Now, Nagato is definitely upwards of millions, if not approaching 1 billion times fast and light, considering he scales to Itachi, who even when dying easily beats Heavy Sasuke according to multiple characters and Itachi's later fights. And even Heavy Sasuke is upwards of thousands of times faster than Lee, if not millions. For Nagato's abilities, he has a really strong moveset. He is a Rinnegan user, the premier Rinnegan user. He can absorb chakra using the Preta Path, through contact if it's coating the user, and from a range if it's fired at him. Then, if he gets his hands on someone, he can use the human path to tug at the soul of his opponent. Then with the Asura path, Nagato can fire missiles, lasers, and cannons, and spawn extra arms to help deal with multiple angles. With the Naraka path, he can summon the Lord of the Underworld to heal all his wounds, and he can use it to kill someone if they lie to him while Nagato holds them down. The Animal path allows Nagato to call for massive summonings, from a multi-headed dog that always gains new heads whenever taking damage, to a bird that allows Nagato to fly on, and a chameleon that can turn invisible and carry Nagato. This, along with a giant panda, ox, rhino, crustacean, centipede, all serve as good distractions and threats in a fight. Finally, there's the Diva path, which gives the user complete control over attractive and repulsive forces with techniques like Bansho Tenin, which allows a Rinnegan wielder to pull someone in, to Shimmer Tensei, which keeps things out, Chibaku Tensei, which drags things towards itself in a small planetoid. Then he has a lot of unknown jutsu that he can use thanks to his training with Jiraiya. Now, I'll be real with you. Nagato speed blitzes the soul out of Gloxinia with the light meta, and I mean that in the most literal sense. Like, actually, unless Nagato yanks out Gloxinia's soul, I don't really think he's beating Gloxinia. Gloxinia, being country level himself, will be pretty fine taking a lot of Nagato's hits, it's just they'd be occurring too rapidly for him to do much. Unless you want to count Basquiat's beam as pseudo sunflower AoE, Nagato will be a really fast, really annoying, super dangerous mosquito, except when the mosquito stings you, it tears out your soul. It really depends though, because unlike a demon soul stealing, which seems to be a nigh on instantaneous process unless you're a demon yourself, Nagato needs to actually pull out your soul, like physically tear it out of you. And honestly, Gloxinia may not just sit there and let him do that, as even with all his speed, Nagato will still have to outdo Gloxinia's sheer resistance and power. And I'm not fully sure if he can do this, but then he has Chibaku Tensei, and I say that secures him the win. Chibaku Tensei will affect Gloxinia, and it's very likely that Nagato will push Gloxinia into it, trapping him. One could argue that Gloxinia could reel back with Basquiat and attempt to destroy the core, but it's unlikely Nagato would let him, due to his sheer speed advantage and the fact that he'd still be able to keep the pressure up on Gloxinia. Unlike Zeldris, Gloxinia can't really punish Nagato for running away to heal or just avoid damage, so I will give it to Nagato. Simply too fast for Gloxinia to handle in this case. Now, if I wing Gloxinia and say he somehow reaches Nagato's speed, then this fight gets a lot more interesting. Mainly because now, Gloxinia is way more present than Nagato, and Nagato is going to be forced on the back foot way more and using everything he has at his disposal. Gloxinia would still be a dangerous powerhouse in comparison to someone like Nagato, and will just pull up on Nagato. However, here's the thing. I mentioned at the beginning of the video that the way these two fighters operate will drastically affect the battle, and this is factual, because Nagato likes his opponents up close in range for grabs for the Naraka path, chakra draining with the Preta path, point blank attacks with the Asura path, animal group attacks from the animal path. Nagato really likes to get in his opponent's face. But there's an issue here though. Gloxinia, unlike many fighters in 7 Deadly Sins and Naruto, prefers the opposite. He likes to stay back and launches powerful attacks at you and forces you to come in. Now, what does this mean for the fight? It means that Nagato has two options, to either Bansho Tenin Gloxinia in and risk getting impaled, attacked, or soul ripped, or Nagato actively chases Gloxinia down, and we've seen Gloxinia respond to that by firing off with Basquiat. Now honestly, the safer route is the latter one, because Nagato could absorb a beam of Basquiat's energy, considering I'm equalizing magic and chakra to give both characters their full abilities, and he better hope that it's a lot of energy, because otherwise Gloxinia is not doing that again. And if Nagato goes with the former, I honestly think it's a death sentence, because Gloxinia has too many options to respond with that would be fatal to Nagato, especially considering by using Bansho Tenin, Nagato is getting rid of all of his defensive options for 5 seconds. Death Thorn is fatal to Nagato since he's still a human, and the one-cut kill is very dangerous. Basquiat itself is dangerous because it's a giant spear that can pierce straight through Nagato. Guardian is dangerous because it paralyzed Nagato, and also could just impale him. Emerald Octo isn't too dangerous, considering it's mostly one force, until he runs through your chest with it. However, Soul Ripping is dangerous because, Nagato is losing his soul. Say Nagato plays a setup game, summoning everything he can to the field with his animal squad, all charging in, then he can probably use that. The multiple field division will help, and the animals will serve as a good distraction for a little bit, but with Death Thorn, Gloxinia could just kill them all instantly. Not to mention the fact that Gloxinia could play some setup of his own, calling his own plant dolls like his Gerharde one, which are completely autonomous entities that can fight without him, while Gloxinia hunts down Nagato. And that's really what I see this fight as when we get down to the basics, a hunt. Gloxinia is hunting down Nagato, who is extremely slippery. Gloxinia, to catch Nagato, is going to have to pull out every last stop to even get close. Nagato has a lot of defensive options, but the reason I give a more speed balanced match to Gloxinia is because Nagato has one win condition while Gloxinia has many. Nagato's win condition is Chibaku Tensei, because unless Gloxinia attempts to fly away or attack it directly with a beam from Basquiat multiple times, he loses and gets sealed. However, Nagato won't just open with that, and nothing else Naruto has is fatal. While everything Gloxinia does to Nagato is fatal, except for summoning plants and the Moon Rose. Basquiat Guardian, it isn't fatal, but paralysis wouldn't be good for Nagato, and he can still just get impaled. The Yggdra armor can run Nagato through. Death Thorn executes Nagato once it touches him. Emerald Octo can run Nagato through if necessary. Soul Ripping is soul ripping, and you better hope Gloxinia doesn't just throw off Nagato's senses with his euphoria, instantly leading to his death. Gloxinia's preferred fighting style is the exact opposite of what someone like Nagato wants in a battle. He wants a person who gets in his face for him, like a Kakashi or a Naruto, not someone he has to hunt down. Gloxinia controls the pace of the battle in multiple ways too. Obviously the basic battlefield control, considering at a whim he could easily spawn plants to get in Nagato's way, and he can intensify all the chakra drain of Nagato's techniques using Disaster, and he can induce a Euphoria state whenever he wants to dull one of Nagato's best attributes in his sensory abilities, constantly negating whatever Nagato does with his summonings due to Death Thorn, which is so large it can cover an entire 8-mile labyrinth with no issue on Gloxinia's end. Then, Gloxinia just has the summonings that he can stick on Nagato, and the Flower Doll can regenerate extremely well, so Nagato will actually have to throw a lot of force into that thing to truly destroy it. Meanwhile, Jumanji is just rolling around the battlefield, all while Gloxinia is staring at Nagato from a mile away, reading his heart, and making sure he never has the chance to breathe or do anything risky. And realize, Gloxinia can do many of the things that control the battlefield that I just mentioned, all at once. Death Thorn can be tearing through the air and ground, while the Flower Doll and Jumanji are just running around, the doll raising plants itself while Gloxinia is raising plant sites and inducing euphoria on Nagato all at once. And Nagato is there, dodging the best he can while attempting to gather chakra for something. And while Nagato has lots of chakra, good stamina, and great sensory abilities, the Rinnegan does take loads of energy out of him, especially when Nagato is forced to constantly use his abilities to even survive. A Shinra Tensei here to push off a Death Thorn. An Asura Path Laser there to try and clear the field, summonings to try to keep his vision up and try to fly and approach Gloxinia. All the while, Gloxinia is using Disaster to amplify the drain and damage from a range. It's a war of attrition on both sides, but I say Gloxinia has more stamina. He's been shown to be able to fight above his weight class, eating damage, using massive techniques, and heal someone else to keep them in the battle, all with ease, and his problem with that fight wasn't his stamina, it was that he was weaker than his opponent. Meanwhile, due to it not being his Rinnegan, one of Nagato's main issues is his stamina, and since Nagato is the one who really only has one beam from Gloxinia that he can absorb, Gloxinia isn't going to be refilling his stamina or his chakra. And he isn't an avid user of darkness like other commandments, and he can keep himself topped off with Drop of Life, and he can keep himself far away with his flight. Honestly, I kinda have to give it to him because Nagato cannot restore himself here, even if he gets his hands on Gloxinia, which is super unlikely without major consequence, even with something like Bansho Tenin or trying to approach. Gloxinia doesn't cover himself in magic for Nagato to drain, and Gloxinia's Soul Rip is way more dangerous for Nagato than a Nagato Soul Rip or Chakra Blast is dangerous for Gloxinia. Even if I were to fully equalize the stats and say Gloxinia no longer has the power advantage, he can still do everything he did before, and I still say he wins. Why? Because Gloxinia's healing will be faster and take care of whatever wounds he receives more efficiently than Nagato's healing would be. Nagato's stamina would still be a problem, and while the Naruto path fixes bodies, it's most likely that it doesn't restore chakra or vitality, or else Nagato would have used that on himself. Gloxinia could keep up that insane pressure with plants, plant dolls, Basquiat, and Gloxinia could amplify whatever damage Nagato takes, and Gloxinia could still instantly execute Nagato with one cut from Death Thorn and a Poison Ant from Disaster. Gloxinia could still read Nagato's mind the entire time. Gloxinia could still induce the state of euphoria to throw Nagato off. However, Nagato still has the Chibaku Tensei, but the main issue with that is, will Gloxinia let him do it? If Gloxinia does, then he loses, simple as that. But I'd say it's unlikely that Nagato will have the time to, even if he runs from Gloxinia. Gloxinia has amazingly strong senses that can perceive characters from miles and miles away. Even with all the summonings and distractions Nagato would be throwing up, Gloxinia would still be focused on Nagato himself, hunting him viciously while staying safe enough from a distance away that Nagato would have to work to actively attack him. Even if you want to restrict Gloxinia to only one means of attacking at a time, then Nagato is still in trouble because he needs to approach to do any significant damage and not having the time or ability to hide and gather chakra for a larger attack, like his own win condition Chibaku Tensei. And Nagato is still going to need to defend himself and try to play offense, which will burn his stamina. This fight would be insane to watch, mainly because Nagato is super smart. However, he's sort of just completely outdone by Gloxinia's options, because they would start off a decent distance, but what Gloxinia does, he will literally just retreat or just fly higher. He will fly higher, he will stay out of Nagato's range, and Nagato's try and lunge in, and then what's most likely going to happen is Gloxinia's going to be like, alright bro, that's crazy, bam, and just fire Basquiat at him, and then I can see that. I can see the round start opening up with Nagato absorbing some of Basquiat's energy, Gloxinia being like, whoa, didn't know you could do that, and I don't know who gave you permission to. I'm gonna not do that anymore. And then the one thing Nagato had is just shut away from the rest of the battle, because everything else Gloxinia does, Nagato can't drain anything from. If Nagato is forced to move in, if Nagato risks anything, he's losing something. He's losing a limb, he's losing his life, he's losing his soul. Something's gonna happen, because every single answer that Nagato has is really, really unsafe. If he tries to slow the pace of the match down, he tries to summon things, and while he's summoning, if he can get the summoning off, Gloxinia's like, yo, that's crazy. You really put your hands on the ground? Here's a death thorn straight up from the earth to just slice you in the face, and then you're dead. Oh man, you got the summonings off somehow. Well, that's crazy. Here's Deaththorn moving around, killing all your summonings all at once. Here's Basquios running through all your summonings all at once. Here's the Hornet, here's the Wasp coming in as a guardian and just pulling up on you and paralyzing all your like, that's the thing. Every single answer, every single question that Naruto has, Gloxinia has a clear and direct answer to. Seriously, like every single one. Oh, okay, so you're going to hit me directly in the face with something like an energy blast. That's crazy, bro. Droplet of life. I'm nice and fresh, refreshed, and healed. That feels pretty good, dog. Alright, so you're gonna bring out some dogs. That's crazy, bro. Let them die to death, though. Okay, so you're gonna pull me in with Bancho Tenni. Alright, Basquios, let me move my fingers real quick and impale you. Or, fine, you got close enough that Bancho Tenni couldn't react, couldn't move quick enough. Bam. You touch me, try to rip out my soul. I touch you, your soul's gone. Like, what do you really want Nagato to do? Chibaku Tensei, that's what you want Nagato to do. But the thing is, the likelihood of Nagato being like, okay, I gotta use Chibaku Tensei, he's going to think that. And then Gloxinia, who's staring at Nagato, and it's probably gonna be reading his heart, is gonna be like, I don't know what that is, but you really, really want to use that. I don't think I'm gonna let you do that. And there's that. And that's the thing, I do believe if Nagato can set it up, if he can get the summonings off and he can distract Gloxinia long enough to pop out of Chibaku Tensei, then I say Gloxinia loses. Seriously, but that's the least likely scenario. Like 8 out of 10 times I say it goes to Gloxinia. Because really, the one win condition he has, the one condition that Nagato has, requires time to take up chakra, and Nagato's not going to have the time. Gloxinia's not going to give him the time. It's going to be constant pressure, constant offense, and Nagato just doesn't have an answer to it. If you guys can figure out something for Nagato here, I actually want to hear it. Other than Chibaku Tensei. If there's a sub ability of Nagato that I missed that'll block out all of Gloxinia's options, then sure, that's great. I would love it if Nagato could win more. Because honestly, I still think it's an interesting fight, but I just think it's a bit unfair because Gloxinia has way too many answers to all of Nagato's questions, while Nagato has little to no answers for Gloxinia's questions, especially with the fact that every single time he plays defensive, every single time he uses his most powerful set of abilities, the Diva Pass abilities, then he's locked off from those abilities for 5 seconds. And in a fight at such a high speed as this, 5 seconds is a long time where Nagato just can't defend himself, and Gloxinia never has any detriments like that. He doesn't have to worry about that. While Nagato has to worry about his stamina, his ability loss, bada bing, bada boom. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys, well, I don't even hope you guys agree with me. I hope you guys are willing to talk to me about this in the comment section down below. I want to see your opinion on this. I want to hear Nagato winning. I want to see it. It sounds like fun. I still think this is a great battle, and I hope you guys enjoyed. For the next battle we're doing, I may do one for me. I was considering doing some other battle that someone had requested, but I don't remember at this moment as I'm recording. But it's most likely going to be a Kingdom Hearts battle. What kind of Kingdom Hearts battle? You'll find out when we get to it. But once again, thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with the Pencil, writing off.